Namaskar. I welcome all my well-meaning, right-thinking sisters and brothers who are listening to this talk. I want that we should now dwell on some social issues, the social part of our life. Till now I have been mostly talking on spirituality and role of life. But today I want to speak on a very important, most serious issue of our social life. This is the issue of leadership. Real leaders. There are many crises in the society. There is not one or two or three or four, but multiple crises. And we have not been able to resolve any crisis successfully. And therefore the number of crises is multiplying day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year. Therefore, I have thought that let me discuss on the most serious crisis. So I find that among all the crises that society is facing, like economic depression, like environmental, ecological imbalance, like pollution everywhere, and this question of women's rights, earth rights, animal rights, human rights, so many problems are there. And I feel that the most important of them is the crisis of leadership. In order to understand the crisis of leadership, it is also important to know the role a leader plays in our social life and in all the areas which are connected with our life, like education, culture, civilization, economy, sociology, and everything that shapes our personality. So, in this respect, I find that all the good teachings which we find in the books are mostly of academic nature today. They are being sermonized, very beautiful, inspiring, motivating lectures are being given, but they have hardly any impact on the mind of the people. I mean to say that the quality of persons, the character of persons, the conduct of persons is not changing according to the principles, ideologies, teachings and sermons which are contained in all the holy books, pious books and respectable, honorable books. Why it is so? This means that these principles and these ideologies cannot be materialized on their own. They cannot be materialized only by delivering speeches or by writing books, publicizing books, popularizing books. They give very good utilization of our time when we read books or when we hear lectures. But then, unless those things are brought in practice in our life, I think all this exercise is not of much consequence. And therefore, I think that the portion of the execution of the ideology of the Gospels of the great teachers, their execution is not possible unless the reign of society, the control of society is in the hands of righteous people. And these righteous people, these virtuous people, we call leaders. Leaders who is in front of us, who leads from the front, who leads by example. He sets an example, people follow him. He is the vanguard, he is the pioneer, and therefore the significance of leaders is of paramount importance in the social progress, in the quality of society we are living. And for this very reason, I think Sri Ananda Murti ji, while writing his book on his philosophy, in the 5th chapter of the book Ananda Sutram, he talks about the social side of human life. And the first sutra of the 5th chapter of Ananda Sutram, authored by Sri Ananda Murti ji, talks about our political leadership, political authority. He says, Varna Pradhanta Chakradharayam. This means that in every age a particular Varna predominates the society, and because of its predominance, there is rule of that particular Varna. They are acting as the rulers of society. And this Varna he defines as mental color, not Varna like a class of Karl Marx or caste which we find in several societies. It is a mental color, and in this respect he has classified the whole society in 4 Varnas possessing 4 specific colors. First he says Sudras. Sudras means whose mental color is black. That means they only think of their material needs and their fulfillment. Matter is summum bonum of their life. They can't think beyond material gratification. And their mental wave, their psychic wave is parallel to the physical wave like food, cloth, house, etc. And therefore it is black, totally black. And color, mental color of the Kshatriya is red. Kshatriya represents valor, heroism, bravery in a person, the adventurous personality, a very courageous person, courageous personality. The color of his mind is red, and the Vipra, the 3rd Varna, his mental color, psychic color is white, because he thinks of sentient things, noble, pious, virtuous things, so his mental color is white. And Vaishya, the 4th Varna, it is possessing the yellow color. Yellow color because its mind is not only engaged in accumulating material wealth, but also controlling the point of distribution, how it is to be distributed, how it is to be, the commodities are to be produced and purchased. All these business transactions are being done by these Vaishyas whose mental color is yellowish. So these four colors are commonly found in human beings. There may be some mixture of these colors also, but when particular color is predominant, it is prominent in a human personality, and accordingly we can judge the character of a person, whether he or she is Shudra, Kshatriya, Vipra or Vaishya. It has nothing to do with a hereditary or by birth or belonging to a particular caste or community. It is totally personal, individual, and depends upon our mental psychic color. And this color is because of our mental parallelism with physical wave or with refined or elevated psychic wave or spiritual wave or with material and psychic wave. So this is purely a psychic character, and we should not confuse it with the color of this material color, but it is totally psychic color, and it has nothing to do with birth or lineage. Now, these four varnas, in these three varnas, Kshatriya, Vipra and Vaishya, warrior class, intellectual class and capitalist class. These three have some leadership quality, and that's why they are in a position to control the nucleus of society. And therefore, Sri Shanti says that in a particular age, this Kshatriya, Vipra or Vaishya is influencing the entire social structure. And in the next sutra, aphorism, it says that Chakra Kendra Sab Vipra Chakra Niyantraka. That means that when fake Kshatriya, not a bona fide Kshatriya, not a bona fide heroic person, but a tyrant, a despotic, a person which always thinks to harm others, is in the position of control of the society, then there is exploitation, there is humiliation, there is oppression, suppression and repression. So this happens in the rule of all these three varnas, in Vipra varna also and in Vaishya varna also. But when they are genuine Kshatriya, genuine Vipra or genuine Vaishya, genuine warrior, genuine intellectual and genuine businessman, acquisitor, then they do all the activities of welfare, social service, they are of sacrificing nature, they have selfless love for suffering humanity, and the society under their rule, under the rule of bona fide, genuine, heroic persons, genuine intellectuals and genuine this capitalist class, business class, then there is all-round welfare, all-round progress of the society. But if they are fake, they are not genuine, then they become exploiters. And as we know that in history there have been events when there were rebellion, there were revolutions, and the status quoist forces were dethroned. The rulers were removed from the position of power and they were replaced by the rebellious mass, by those who were the vanguards of revolution. So this has been happening since ancient times, that in the case of a bad ruler there is opposition, there is a very strong rebellion, revolution against him, and he or she is removed from the throne, is dethroned, and new people take over the charge. And for some time, these new people who come to power, they take care of the society nicely, because they have fought against exploitation and tyranny of their predecessors. But after certain passage of time, this new breed of rulers, they also become exploiters. That means they are not genuine Kshatriya, Vipra or Vaishya, they are all fake. And that which is fake, it cannot do real service to society. So this has been happening in the ages which were under the influence of warrior class, intellectual class or business class. This has been the case till now, that there was a rule, and when that rule became misrule, then there was a revolution, there was rebellion, and that rule was replaced by another rule. And again, this new rule, when it became exploitative, there was opposition, there was dissatisfaction, people revolted against the new rulers, and again those who have been revolting, they come to power. So this process of fight between exploitative forces and their opposition has been continuing, and humanity has been suffering without break, untold suffering. It has no respite from the misrule, from the brute forces, from the tyrannical forces. Therefore, Sri Shyamurti ji in the second sutra of the 6th chapter of Ananda Sutram says Chakra Kendresh Sadvipra Chakranindrika. That means this social cycle, revolving social cycle in which these varnas one come after another and they exercise their influence on the society, this social cycle has always been under the control of a particular varna. So he says, no, there may be administration, governance by a particular varna, but the control of the social cycle, the nucleus of the social cycle will be under the influence of a new term he has given, Sadvipras. Sadvipras are virtuous, righteous persons who always fight against exploitation, immorality, injustice. And he has given a very lengthy discourse on the role and the complexion of Sadvipra. So this Sadvipra, that means one who fights against exploitation, who is not exploited, and who has many brilliant qualities. And these Sadvipras are in the nucleus of the social cycle. And when they are in the nucleus, they are witnessing the revolving social order. They find that who is at the position of power and who is in the position of subject, ruler and ruled. They witness both the sides, and then they find, because they are in the center, from the center the entire circumference can be looked. But a person on the circumference cannot see the entire cycle. So the Sadvipraj's advantage is that he looks at all the points of the social cycle, and he is well aware the role a particular varna is playing in the society. And therefore, when society is under the rule of genuine varna, genuine class, it is not a technical class as I have described that it is a varna mental color, but in English there is not a very appropriate synonym for varna. So let me use class for varna. So this when this class dominance, it turns exploitative. There, Sadvipras take control. Chakra Kendra Sadvipra Chakranyantraka. They are in the nucleus, and therefore they know the good and bad rulers. And when there are good rulers, then they cooperate with them, they inspire people to cooperate. And when there are bad rulers, wicked rulers, then they inspire people to fight against those evil forces. So he has two basic roles in the society. First is, being in the nucleus, he has to always think for the welfare of the society, and therefore those rulers who are doing welfare, who are doing good works, he always looks at them with sympathy, compassion, and cooperates with them and inspires people to help them. But when the society is ruled by evil forces, then they take control of the social order. They say that no, now you cannot rule, we warn you, you mend yourself. If you do not mend, then we will take drastic step. And when the rulers do not pay heed to their words, then they give clarion call to the population that come forward and let us remove these people, this person or this party from the power and bring benevolent forces into the seat of power. So this second principle is original contribution of Sri Shyamurti Ji in our sociological order, in the social dynamics. Till now there has been no such philosophical concept. The concept was only of the varna dominance, of the rule, of the dominance of good forces or bad forces. But how these forces will be kept under control so that humanity may not have to suffer, or may not have to suffer for a long time, or there will be no suffering at all, this can be only achieved if there is a moral check on the rulers who are ruling the society. So till now there was no such proposition, there was no such conceptual construct before the society, and it has been moving in the evolutionary way or revolutionary way. Good rulers came, then bad rulers came, there was a position rebellion, they were removed, again new rulers came, they remained good for some time, and when they became wicked, exploiter, then there was a position revolution, and they were removed, and again new rulers take their place. So this cycle was continuing, and humanity was always under pressure, always under suffering because of this type of social dynamics. So that's why Sri Shyamurti Ji has given an addition in the existing concepts, in the existing thoughts, in which he has assigned the role of nucleus to the hardened, die-hard moralist, uh, the unshakable moralist, whom he calls Vipra. So it is a new turn, and let us understand this. Of course, today we do not have this Vipra leadership, but in fragments we can find like Guru Gobind Singh, like Shivaji. These people, they fought for righteousness. They did not fight for themselves. Or Subhash Chandra Bose, he took up arms, but this was for the liberation of the country. So, and they were uncompromising. They did not compromise. They established the values for which they fought. And therefore, in fragments, in certain occasions we find such type of oasis in our society when good people or good virtuous people whom we can call Sarvipras, they appear before us. But there has been no regularity, no continuity, no perpetual existence of this Sadvipra personality, and because of that the society has been always in tension, always in a state of mutual conflict, mutual clashes, mutual tension, and the life of people was almost hell. So therefore now the question is now to bring this concept into practice, and for this let us understand that how Sadvipra is evolved. So the most important thing which Sri Shanmurti talks about Sadvipra is first is his existence, then is the progress, development, and then is the final goal. Asti, Bhati and Anand. Asti means existence here. So this existence is very important thing. Unless I exist, I cannot be of any help, any service to others. So this existence is most important. So Sadvipras will have existence, assured existence. That means they cannot be blackmailed, they cannot be bargained, that you take money from us and then you obey our order. You take this position from us and then you come in our party. They will always stand on morality, humanity, spirituality, all the noble ideals. They will not compromise. They cannot be subdued by any type of inducement or any type of, I can say, terrorist forces. None can terrorize them and none can lure them to come to their side because of certain lucrative offers to them. So this Asti is assured, and many people, because of Asti, the question of their existence, they succumb to the circumstantial pressure, they take to the immoral ways, unrighteous ways, because they could not assure their existence, and they have to fall prey to the temptation, and they become degraded and degenerated. But Sadvipras, in whatever situation he has to face, he will remain firm on his principles because he is capable of sustaining himself. So Asti there, and Bhati means development. So he exists for others. He does not. His existence is not for self-seeking pleasure, for his personal satisfaction, but it is for the well-being of the society. And therefore, all the qualities of Bhati means progress, the development, and the society has to develop, everybody has to progress, everybody has to be afforded opportunities for their maximum development. So this Sadvipras work very consistently, very sincerely for the higher evolution, higher elevation of our social body. So they do not take rest in any situation. They always think how the society can be further evolved, how it can be further elevated. And third, the goal of their life is Anandam. Asti Bhati Anandam. Anandam means perfection, the infinite, ineffable, unlimited, limitless happiness. Everybody wants happiness, and human wants unlimited happiness. But this unlimited happiness is unattainable because people are running after physical or psychic pabula, physical or psychic preoccupations, the objects. And these objects are limited, their capacity to satisfy is limited, and so the life always remains restless. But the goal of Sadvipraj is Anandam, perfection, infinity. He wants to achieve the status of infinite perfection, and so his goal is not anything material, not even anything psychic. We can say it is spiritual, because it is in the land of spirituality where a person can attain perfection and person can also achieve the experience of infinity. So his goal is Anandam, and because of Anandam he is not partial to anybody. He is impartial, he is spotless, no avarice, no greed, no jealousy, no hatred. So this is of course an ideal concept, but it is practicable also, and for this Sri Shanmukti ji has also given spiritual practice, 16 points, Zama and Niyama, social norms, code of conduct, so many things he has given. And I do not know what the people will think about me, but I can say I was a student of science, engineering. I am not a dogmatic person, but when I talk about supreme entity, about God, about the realization of God, a section of people may think that I am talking dogmatically, but this is not the case. Just like there is existence of atom, electron, proton is a reality, similarly the existence of a supreme entity who has created this world and who is maintaining this world, sustaining this world, is also a reality. But this reality cannot be experienced from any external source, it has to come from within. And for this I want to say here that Sri Shanmukti ji possesses those infinite spiritual powers, and because of that he was in a situation, he was in a position to also transmit this spiritual way for infinite period, for eternal time, so that the concepts he is giving, the ideas he is popularizing, he is presenting before the people could see the light of the day. They do not remain confined to books. For this he has transmitted spiritual energy for eternal times. So that's why he gave spiritual practice, he gave other code of conduct, so that people could follow it. They can have the proper spirit, proper stamina, proper inspiration to move on the righteous path, and they will attain their goal. So I am sure that this Sadvipraj will emerge because of the blessings of Sri Shanmukti ji and because of the guidance he has given in the form of psycho-spiritual practice, in the form of proper interpretation of the moral principles called Zama and Niyama, and also in the form of 16 points. These 16 are all do's, there are no don'ts. They have to be followed in order to become a real Sadvipra. So this Sadvipra is of course the demand of the time. Today we need a leadership which possesses the quality of Sadvipra, and because of lack of these qualities we are finding so much chaos in the society. The society is always in such tension that different groups are emerging and they are in clash with each other, in conflict with each other. So let us be Sadvipra and let us make others Sadvipra. And for this Sadvipra, the minimum qualification is that he or she must follow moral principles strictly, and so that there is no confusion about moral principle. Sri Shanmukti ji has, I can say, beautifully interpreted so that we can practically bring these principles in our life. These principles are called Jama and Niyama. There are 5 Jama and 5 Niyama: Ahimsa, Satya, Aste, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. Ahimsa means not inflicting injury to anybody, psychically or physically. Satya is speak with the feeling of welfare for others. Aste is non-stealing. Brahmacharya is always dwelling in the ideation of the Supreme. And Aparigraha is to discard those things which are not essential for the preservation of our life. And Niyama is short, is cleanliness within and without, Santosh, contentment, remaining satisfied with what is required for our self-preservation, not running after carnal pleasures. And third, Santosh. Tapa is penance, means always trying to take those sufferings which can relieve others of their suffering. And Ishwar Pranidhan and Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is studying scriptures while understanding its inner essence, its inner meaning, not just memorizing the slokas and the teachings, the sermons, without imbibing their inner essence, their inner bhava. And that's why we see that there are great scholars of Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavat, Srimad Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Vedas, and other scriptures, but we do not find their actions in consonance with their teachings, with their lectures. So this Swadhyaya is for that purpose, so to understand the inner essence of the teachings and to translate them into our practical life. And Ishwar Pranidhan is our constant movement towards the goal. So these, all the 10 principles have been very nicely explained and interpreted by Sri Shanmukti ji, so that we can practically bring them into our life. He has given a practical understanding of dharma. Dharma is not something which is to be abhorred or which is to be, we can say, afraid of, that it is very difficult to move on the path of dharma. Dharma is the most essential for our very existence. If we really want to be a true human being, we have to be true dharmika. And what is this dharma and how it is to be followed? He has very nicely explained in his small booklet, the Jivan Ved, a guide to human conduct. We can understand it from there. So this, although these 10 principles were also spoken by Patanjali, but till now there has not been much respect for these principles, and they are mostly of academic nature. But Sri Shanmukti ji has said that spiritually is an impossibility without Jama and Niyama. He is the first person to say this. that without Yama and Niyama, sadhana is an impossibility. Unless a person follows Yama and Niyama, he cannot move on the path of spirituality, he cannot move a step forward. When he says this, it means he has transmitted energy so that we can follow Yama and Niyama. But we should have desire to follow it. We cannot think, oh, it is very difficult, how it can be done. We must have the willingness. He only wants willingness, sincerity, that mind, thought, speech and action should be one. He does not demand anything from us except the sincerity, and we can get success. So the Sadvipra, he is very adamant in 16 points. He is adamant in following Yama and Niyama, and he is adamant in other code of conduct which has been given, propagated by Sri Ananda ji. So these are the minimum qualification. The leaders, anybody cannot be our leader, although the human want is to follow leader. And there are people who condemn this type of hero worship, the adoration of an individual. But this is, we know that unless a person lives his physical characteristic, how he can survive. So from ancient times people have been following hero worship, so it cannot be removed. The only thing is that we have to choose good leaders so that we are not moved towards the abyss of darkness. We always move towards the light, and that's why we have to be very selective in choosing leaders. And for this, Sri Ananda ji has also given a guideline that our approach should be selecto-electional. Election should be of those who are formulating policies for the social progress, and selection is for those who are executing this process. So these leaders will emerge through this selecto-electional process. And the infallible leadership is possible when the goal of life is Anandam, when one is working for the progress, all around social progress, and whose existence is assured. He has not to be blackmailed, not to be bargained in any situation of life. And I think we must become such a leader, and we must make effort so such leaders emerge in the society and they take society from darkness to light. Namaskar.